Welcome to the Bookies Plus weekly betting show where you'll get NFL free picks for week 4 from 4 of our gambling experts. Make sure to check out this show each week throughout the season. You also can find Bookies Plus free picks at bookies.com/picks. Again, very accomplished gambling experts. Not only can you find free NFL picks, but we've got you covered for just about any sport you like to wager on. Again, bookmark bookies.com/picks. All right, let's go. This week we'll have picks from Bill Speros, the senior betting analyst for bookies.com. There he is. Adam, the ATM Thompson, running over 60% NFL winners in the last 3 years. Nick, the Whalen, RotoWire. You see him on VSiN. You hear him on SiriusXM. See him on DraftKings as a guest analyst. And I'm Jim Coventry. All right, again, last time, bookmark it, bookies.com/picks. Let's get right to the picks. Bill Speros, think you like the Jets this week?
I think the Jets are going to simulate the hurricane that I'm getting ready for down here in Florida when Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett dish out some Old Testament payback on the Denver Broncos. Normally, taking the Jets plus like 7 or 7.5, you'd probably be committed. You may, be Baker acted, they call it here in Florida. But I just think this is a game. We saw how smooth and fluid the Jets offense was against the Patriots. The Broncos are staying on the East Coast. I believe they're in Carolina. They may have some weather issues with this hurricane once it gets up that neck of the woods. I think they're going to be out of sorts. They sort of had the Super Bowl last week. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to give his buddy a solid. They could blow him out.
Adam, I know you and I have the same game. So before we get to Nick, I want you to pile on to the Jets game minus the points.
Yeah, Jets, they were my preseason Super Bowl pick. They didn't look the part in their marquee first game against the Niners, but first game on the road, Aaron Rodgers, all that stuff. But the way they handled the Patriots, and obviously the Patriots are not a Super Bowl contender, but the Patriots are a very similar team to the Broncos. So no offense to the Patriots.
Don't be hating on my swag here, buddy.
You are wearing Broncos orange, so
I'm wearing hurricane orange. That way, it's easy to find the bodies when it floats by. That's why they say they wear orange.
This just took a morbid turn, but no, I like the Jets. I think the Patriots, strong defense, not many options on offense, especially if you could shut down the running back. Broncos, very similar. They blitz more than any other team in the league. Aaron Rodgers, that is catnip to Aaron Rodgers. If you put one-on-one guys out there, he's going to line it to them. Broncos offensively, they're not top 20 in anything. So I think the Jets defense can handle that. So -7, it's going to go up. It's already gone up. We got it at -7 earlier in the week. It's -7.5 now. It might go higher than that. I think -7.5 is a fair number too.
I don't have much to add to that game. All I'll say is the Broncos are coming off a win, and they're going to be a little bit too happy coming into this game. And like you guys both said, the Jets should steamroll them here. Nick, who do you like for your first pick?
Well, I'll give you one more note on the Jets, guys. I think we got to mention the extended rest here, right? This is a team that played on Thursday night last week, dominated that game against New England. I think there is a big come down here for Bo Nix and the Broncos after that. Just strange game against Tampa Bay where the Bucs no-showed. Aaron Rodgers 31-20-2 against the number. It's about 61% on extended rest throughout his career. He's 16-9-2 ATS at home on extended rest. So a lot of trends, I think, pushing us in favor of the Jets. Guys, I'm going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. We're taking a big favorite here, second biggest favorite on the board. That number is up to 8 or 8.5. You can maybe get it at 7.5 earlier in the week if you jumped on it. I know the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, traditionally have struggled to cover numbers, when they are big favorites. Mahomes, when he's a favorite of more than 3 points, he's covering at only a 47% clip. That does scare me a little bit, but he did just win and cover in this spot last week against the Atlanta Falcons. For me, this comes down to the injury report for the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert is dealing with a high ankle sprain. We saw him leave that game last week against the Steelers. if they try to roll him out there, what are the chances he even makes it through the game? What are the chances he looks anything like himself? I would say pretty low. We also have to keep in mind that the Chargers have an early bye. Their bye is in week 5. Like, does it really make sense to bring Justin Herbert back for this game, perhaps tweak that ankle even further with a bye week coming up? I don't think it does. If we do see Taylor Heineke, good luck. He took more sacks than he had pass attempts last week after coming on in relief of Justin Herbert. And beyond the quarterback position, guys, Derwin James, he's out this week. His appeal on that suspension has already been denied. Joey Bosa was out last week. We'll see if he's back out there. There hasn't really been any indication yet. I don't think Joe Alt or Rashawn Slater are going to play in this game. These are the 2 starting tackles for the LA Chargers. Josh Palmer, their number 1 receiver, he's dealing with an elbow and a calf injury. He could easily miss another game. You look at the Chargers, they've been good on defense, but who have they played, guys? They played the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Steelers. Gardner Minshew, Bryce Young, and Justin Fields. This is a totally different ball game this week going up against Patrick Mahomes. We saw the Pittsburgh Steelers hit some big plays on the Chargers last week. I think the Chiefs should be able to do the same and win this game by at least 10.
Now, Nick, you referenced the Pittsburgh Steelers, and let's you guys change your picks on me. All Bill, Adam, and yourself like the Steelers. So let's talk that one up. Bill started out, Adam, and then Nick will pile in after.
3-0 and 3-0. 3 offensive touchdowns, 3 wins, 3-0 on the line. Mike Tomlin working another miracle. This time he's not tripping anybody, run up the sidelines. Pittsburgh's defense is very similar to the storm surge. It's going to wipe out Northern Florida this week. I just don't know what Anthony Richardson, I think this is his 8th career start going up against Mike Tomlin and Mike Tomlin's defense. It's going to be brutal. They've won 8 of 9 against Indy already. I just think, and the Steelers are great on the line in September. I just don't know how Indy's going to get the ball moving here.
Adam, go ahead and pile on a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson, 8 turnovers in 3 games. And here comes the Steelers, who can turn you over and wreak more havoc than any other defense really out there right now. So I think that's a big problem. They got Jonathan Taylor going last week, which is good for the Colts. And I like the Colts overall. I like Richardson. I like Taylor. I think he's got weapons. Those weapons are dropping balls at ridiculous rates right now. I think this defense just has too much. I think Justin Fields, with his legs, can really do some damage here too. I think 1.5 just seems way too low. I really like Pittsburgh to cover.
And we got next Nick, 3rd man in the ring. Pile on some more.
Yeah, we'll keep throwing on some Steelers love here. They are one of only 2 teams in the NFL to start the year 3-0 against the spread, Minnesota being the other one. And you worry a little bit maybe about Pittsburgh having to go on the road this week. I think more than anything, if you're not comfortable taking the Steelers, essentially to win this game, at 1.5, I really love the under 40 here as well. It was at 40.5 earlier in the week. There's already some 39.5 starting to pop up as well. The Steelers are going under by 12.7 points per game so far, guys. Colts have also been an under team so far. The only game of theirs that went over was that week 1 game against Houston, where they hit all those long plays. They gave up 29 points to the Houston Texans. I think this is a pretty clear under spot. Pittsburgh, by the way, 69% to the under on the road since 2015. And look, I understand if you have a little bit of hesitancy trusting Justin Fields. I think I get that. But for me, this is almost more about fading the Colts. I mean, not only do we not trust Anthony Richardson, he's turning the ball over at a crazy rate. He's overthrowing receivers left and right. But the Colts cannot sustain drives, guys. They have run the fewest plays in the NFL so far by a mile. They have the lowest time of possession so far this season. They're only averaging about 21 minutes of possession per game. You can't live that way in the NFL. You can't have teams running 20, 30 more plays than you routinely. And that's basically happened in all 3 weeks so far for the Colts. So it's a fate of Indianapolis. It's a fate of Anthony Richardson. This is arguably the toughest defense he'll face so far. Steelers are number 4 in defensive DVOA so far this season. We saw him struggle against what I think is a pretty good Bears defense last week, and I think Pittsburgh might be even better.
And don't forget, the Colts are probably right now a bottom 5, and I might be being generous there, defense. No DeForest Buckner on the interior line. No Juju Brents. Not that he was a great corner anyway. They can't stop the run. They can't rush the passer, and they can't cover. What does that leave? A big loss. I'm going to go with the Cardinals for my next pick, though, minus 3.5 against the Washington Commanders. First of all, the Commanders coming off a big win over the Bengals. Short week. First of all, I don't like that aspect of them coming back and playing a team that's actually a good team in Arizona, coming off a very tough loss. They lost to a much better Detroit team, but certainly Arizona has plenty for them going, especially on offense. And the other thing is, now that we've seen Jaden Daniels actually complete downfield passes, which he hadn't done in the first 2 games, now defense will play him a little bit differently. They'll make sure that there is a safety over the top for Terry McLaurin. And now we're going to see him figure out some more. There's still going to be quite a growing curve for Jaden Daniels. That's the first thing. Now, Arizona on offense, they should light up the scoreboard. Unlike the Bengals, and the Bengals scored points. They were fine with that, but they didn't use T. Higgins much, sporadically used Mike Gesicki. Well, in this situation, you got James Conner, you got Marvin Harrison, you got Michael Wilson, not sure McBride plays, and then Kyler Murray has just been very mobile. I just don't think Washington's going to be able to stop them at all, and I think the letdown spot is too much. Arizona probably hits 30 points this week, and they probably win this game easily. All right, around the horn one more time. We all have different picks this time, which little variety, but remember, so far in the show, everybody loves the Jets, everybody loves the Steelers. Bill, what's your last game?
The New Orleans Saints, they're at Atlanta. I like them on the money line. I like the points either way. The Saints have won 4 or 5 against the NFC. You take Tampa Bay out of that mix, it's even better. They cover. They're great as underdogs against the NFC South. They've won 7 straight as underdogs against the NFC South. That streak goes back to Tom Brady, by the way, when he was playing in Tampa. A lot of whining after the Saints game the other night against Philly. A lot of complaints that they're playing dirty. That's a good sign. That means they're physical. Be a nice, another really tough test for the Falcons. They're coming off a tough loss to the Swifties and Park Avenue and the Chiefs. So I like New Orleans, even though the game's in Atlanta. I just think they're really putting it together. They have a shot at that division this year, and I think they might actually win it. And this is the sort of game that you need. This is really an NFC South division decider right here. I mean, you're talking Saints beating the Falcons on the road. These are the 2 teams favored to win the division. So this is a significant game, even though we're so early in the season.
Yeah,
and
we love.
I just think the Saints are much further along on the curve than Atlanta.
Yeah, this will be a fun early season. A great call on that one, Bill. Looking forward to that game. Adam, who do you got for your last one?
I'm going Bengals. The 0-3, sky is falling, everything is fine meme, Cincinnati Bengals. But, I mean, they're obviously 0-3, but all 3 losses are by single digits. They're mostly by good teams. They could have, should have beaten the Chiefs in Kansas City. Last week, they didn't have a turnover or a punt. Still lost because the defense had no answer for anything that Washington was doing. But that offense can still score 30-plus points, especially when healthy, especially with T. Higgins, shows up and is part of the offense. And for Carolina, you see what happens when they change their quarterback. Andy Dalton comes in and looks awesome. But I think that was more indicative of how much struggling Bryce Young was really doing and how much struggling the Raiders are going to be doing over this whole season. I think personnel-wise, they're still not there. I think Cincinnati can still score 30 here, and I don't think Dalton can keep up for a second straight week. So -4.5 on the road. I think if Cincy loses this game, the season is over. Zach Taylor's career as a coach might be done. So there's a lot riding on this for Cincy for a Week 4 game.
Nick Whalen, the Bills are getting points this week. What's the deal with that?
Bills are getting points, Jim. They are on the road at the Baltimore Ravens. Number is 2.5 right now. These are the number 1 and number 2 offenses by DVOA so far this season. You look at Baltimore, they have a great run defense. No question about that. Very poor pass defense, however. 30th in the NFL in pass defense EPA so far through these first 3 games. Who's number 1 in pass offense EPA? It's the Buffalo Bills. I think this is a pretty tough spot for the Baltimore Ravens secondary. We've seen the Bills just completely dominate these last 2 games. Yeah, Tua left in week 2, but that game was essentially already decided before his injury. And, what do you even say about what we saw from the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night? Josh Allen, 9-6 straight up in his career in primetime road games. And, going back to that Bills passing game, guys, they have just so many options right now. And, we wondered how would they replace Stephon Diggs? I think it's a guessing game for opposing defenses, right? Is it going to be Khalil Shakir? We're seeing a lot of Mac Hollins. We're seeing a lot of MVS. We still haven't really seen the Curtis Samuel fantasy breakout that some people thought we might. They got Dalton Kincaid involved last week. They're doing a great job of getting James Cook involved in the passing game out of the backfield. Even if they can't get James Cook going on the ground this week, I think they've really been effective picking their spots with Josh Allen as a rusher as well. So you can try to slow down the true running game with James Cook, but you have to account for Josh Allen. Now, on the Ravens side of things, it's been the Lamar show. And Lamar Jackson is such a good player. He's a 2-time MVP for a reason that you can win that way, but you're asking a ton of Lamar Jackson every single week, putting this team on his back. He's running for almost 85 yards per game. He's giving you 7.3 yards per carry. Those are far and away the highest numbers of his career so far. That does scare me a little bit. The Bills did give up 57 rushing yards to Kyler in week 1, but I think they'll be prepared for this Ravens attack. I think the Bills have been the better team so far. You could argue that Baltimore needs it more, but I see this as somewhat of a true toss-up game. And if you're going to give me 2.5 points with the team that I think is the better offense in the Buffalo Bills and might be just as good overall defensively, I'm going to take the points here. So I like the Bills plus 2.5. And quick bonus pick, guys. I started to talk myself into the Las Vegas Raiders. Just go take a look at the Cleveland Browns injury report. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, no doubt. That is a banged up Cleveland team. All right, my last pick is the Seahawks plus 3.5 at the Lions. Look, interesting game here. First of all, Jared Goff. The NFL defenses this year are really showing more confusing looks than ever. And that's never been a plus for Jared Goff. Goff needs things very clearly defined to be his most successful. And Ben Johnson the last couple of years has been right there to set him up for success. Mike McDonald, I did not expect him to walk in immediately to Seattle and have them clicking. And they have since week 1. This defense is the real deal. Now, the Lions are probably without their starting center, Frank Ragnow. That's a big deal. Also, Sam Laporta, maybe not 100% on that injured ankle. We'll see how that goes. Amon-Ra St. Brown, when he's in the slot, he has a very tough matchup against Devon Witherspoon, who is an emerging superstar. Even at home, I don't know the Lions can impose their will on the way this Seahawks defense is playing. And then the Seahawks with the ball. I know Aiden Hutchinson has been a game wrecker, but the good thing for Seattle is they're playing with some tempo. They're speeding things up, and that's going to take a little bit of wind out of his sails from a down-and-down basis. And also, the Seahawks do have a big advantage at receiver in this between DK Metcalf and especially Jackson Smith and Jigba inside. Geno Smith is playing at a high level right now. I believe he comes in and he's able to shred this defense up. The Lions may win this game, but winning by 4 points, to me, seems very unlikely. All right, let's recap the picks for this week. So we had Bill go with the Steelers money line, the Saints plus the points, and the Jets minus. Adam Thompson also agrees on the Steelers and the Jets, throws in the Bengals minus 4.5. Nick agrees with the group on the Steelers while taking the Chiefs minus 8, and then the Bills plus the points. I also agree with the Jets with the group, take the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Any final words from anybody in the group before we get rolling?
Underdogs are murdering the public still, especially on parlays. And it's so bad that there's actually analysis out there from brokerage firms that you're actually going to see a positive impact in earnings for some of these publicly traded sports books because it's been so lopsided. So that's an interesting trend to see where these NFL trends on the field are actually translating to higher earnings on Wall Street.
Very excellent piece of information that closed this show out. For Bill Speros, for Adam Thompson, for Nick Whalen, I'm Jim Coventry. Be sure to bookmark bookies.com/picks so you can check out our free picks for both the NFL and other sports. There will be a new episode of the show every Wednesday for the remainder of the NFL season, and we'll see you next week.